Welcome to another episode of Hard Lessons with Demel Hannah. I'm your host, Demel Hannah. So getting out of segregation in Stateville was all the way different than any time I had got out of Stateville in the county. So I got out the hole, and they put me in F house. F house was segregation too, but F house, before they find out what house they go put you in, they'll put you in F house, to just find you placement. While placement, assess you and screen you and all that shit. So this was like January 15th, because I did 30 days. I went to segregation December 15th. So, shit. I went to E house. E house was, as I told y'all, that's where all the young motherfuckers at with all the time, and it's always going down over there. So I went to E house. E house was cool. I stayed over there for about 30 days. I had a cellmate. He was cool. He was cool and shit. I ain't had no TV and shit. I used to hate when the motherfucker used to watch Star Trek. I ain't had no TV and shit at the time, because I mismanaged my money. So I didn't have no TV my first 2 years. So, yeah, I went to segregation 30 days after I got out, because I couldn't piss. I used to have this thing where I couldn't piss with motherfucker watching me. And Stateville was notorious for coming through and dropping the whole motherfucking cell house. They would drop the whole cell house. They would pull all of us out of our cells. If it's 300 motherfuckers in this cell house, which it was in E house, they would send all of us over. They did this. They put us all over there in the gym, and they dropped everybody. And I couldn't piss, Joe. I was mad as hell, man. Because when you can't piss, they interpret that as a refusal. So I went right. Yeah, so I couldn't piss. You know what I mean? I used to have a problem with that shit. Like, I couldn't piss. So I literally stayed out of segregation, man, like fucking 30 days and shit. And then went right fucking back, man. Shit was fucked up. So they took me to F house. So I was in F house. This time I did 30 days. They gave me 6 months segregation. So I'm like, shit, Joe, I'm gonna be here. I ain't been in the joint a year. I'm fit to do 6 months in they segregation though. So I'm like, damn. So that shit was different. That shit was always different. Like the 30 days, cool, I did that. But now I'm in this motherfucker, man. Stateville raggedy as shit, man. There ain't no fucking hot water in this bitch. We living with roaches. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. We living with roaches. Like, you try to save your food. I remember one time, man, I saved my food, Joe. And I put it on the radiator. Like, guys tell you, like, you wanted to save your food, you put it on the radiator. Man, I woke up, man, with about 50 roaches in my shit, man. I was like, what the fuck? I had never lived like that, even as a kid. Like, I didn't live like that. Yeah, we had roaches, but my mother, she'd get rid of them shits. But we wasn't the type of family where you come in our house and you see roaches. No, we had graduated from that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, from, all throughout my teenage years, I had never experienced no motherfucking roaches in our house. So now I'm in prison and I'm living with roaches. That shit was like that shit was like disgusting. And then we only getting one shower a week. So I'm like, damn, this shit was overwhelming, man. It was overwhelming. And they had me in a bogus ass cell. So, man, I was telling my OG, like, man, contact some motherfucker, give me the fuck about this cell. But she did. And I was grateful at the time that I had a mother that knew how to talk to people. You know what I'm saying? But eventually, you know, my mother, she became old, and I couldn't rely on her to do that type of, you know, bidding for me. I had to do it for myself. But when I first got locked up, 1920, my mother, she still was, you know, vivacious. She still had energy to do that type of stuff. So she had called Springfield, complained. They moved me in another cell. I didn't want to be in that cell. So Stateville used to have these long ass fucking light bulbs and shit. So I unscrewed the motherfucker and I threw it on the flag. When you Google Stateville, that round house, you will see it's a round house. So if you throw something out one of them cells, it's gonna land on the floor and it's gonna be like, boom! It's gonna be a loud echo. You know, guys just used to throw their motherfucking light bulbs just so niggas would be like, get a reaction. Motherfuckers be like, damn! You know what I'm saying? So I threw my light bulb and shit because I ain't want to be in the cell. Let me tell you, my mother was so like good at talking to people. They called me up to the fucking warden's office. Look at these bitch motherfuckers. At the time, the fucking warden was Warden Page, and his assistant was a black guy. I forgot his name. They called me up here, so they like, so what's up? Your mother been complaining. I said, yeah. They got me in a bogus ass cell. Ain't no fucking hot water in the bitch. So the warden, he like, you ever been in this office before? I'm like, no. You know, he's sitting, old bitch. He like, you sure you ain't never been in this office? Bitch, no. I only been in this joint about 8-9 months. I'm not one of those guys, man. I ain't been here, motherfucker. I ain't been in your office, bitch. Why you keep asking me that shit, man? No, is you gonna move me or what, man? You know, and he sent word they moved me and shit. I didn't like the cell they moved me in, so I got the fuck up out of there. And then they moved my ass to our house. Now, I go to our house. I was going through some hell. I go to our house. They mad, so they didn't give me my fucking property for like, this shit was crazy. They didn't give me my motherfucking property for like a month and a half. They kept my property. All what I had in that cell, I accumulated the month and a half while I was in it. I was going through it, man. I didn't have no fucking comb. You know what I'm saying? My mother would come visit me and shit during that time. I go up there, my hair all wild and shit. I'm looking fucking wild, man. My mother be crying and shit on a visit. I'd be like, damn, man. I was going through it, Joe. You know, I was learning. It was the growing pains, man. It was the growing pains of prison. God damn, I was going through some depression. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't been in the joint nothing but a year. I'm back in this hole. You know what I'm saying? Like I had a cellmate. I had a couple cellmates, funny motherfuckers, man. Back in Sig. I had this white dude and shit. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have no prison etiquette. You know, he used to be walking around, we called them tighty whities. Them white drawers that you used to wear when you was a kid. And he used to be walking around in them motherfuckers. And I used to be like, hey man, put on some clothes, Joe. And he'd be like, man, it's hot here, Sally. This fucking jumpsuit. Because when you go to segregation, they take your blues. They take your blue pants and your blue shirt and they put you in the monkey suit. You know, so that's all you got, the monkey suit. You know, now what I used to do is I would wear 2 pair of boxers. I would wear one boxer on and then I would wear the other boxer backwards. You know, so my thing don't be flapping out and shit. You know what I mean? Like that's how guys used to be. I would wear one boxer the regular way and then I turn the boxer backwards. So my thing won't be flopping out. You always thinking about your cellmate and etiquette and shit. I was. But this motherfucker was walking around with the tighty whities and shit on. I'd be like, Sally, put your clothes on, man. Man, it's hot in here, man. I'd be like, I don't give a fuck, Joe. Your booty cheeks is showing. Put your clothes on, man. What the fuck, dude? What the fuck, nigga? Walking around this bitch, what the fuck, man? I got on 2 pair of boxers, man. I don't want to see you walking around this, what the fuck, man? I don't want to see that shit. So he thought I was being an asshole. I wasn't, you know what I mean? So, man, look, check this out. I go on a visit. I come back, I had cigarettes because Stateville used to let you buy cigarettes in segregation. And if you had cigarettes in segregation, you could barter them motherfuckers for food. You know, if you got cigarettes, hey Joe, what's the dessert? They got cookies? I got three rolls for cookies, man. I got 3 rolls for cookies. Motherfuckers jumping on that shit. I didn't smoke. Everybody else smoked though. So you using them cigarettes as a way to barter you food because they ain't feeding you shit. So I done came back off the visit. This motherfucker done smoked all my cigarettes, man. Oh, man. Hey, dude, man, what the fuck is you doing, man? Oh man, I couldn't. I just needed one. One? You smoked my whole pack. What the fuck is you talking about? One. So I'm thinking, I'm like, man, do I whoop this nigga ass up in this motherfucker? You know what I'm saying? Or what the fuck? What the fuck? Do I take all his fucking cakes and cookies for the next couple weeks? What do I do? So I'm like, hey, look, Joe, you smoked all my shit, man. For the next couple weeks, man, whatever dessert come through this bitch on your tray, it's mine. That's one thing. You engraved, so you can go to the store, you go buy me some motherfucking cigarettes, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, so when I put that pressure on his ass, he had like a half a pack of menthols. I didn't like them motherfuckers. Blacks don't be smoking them fucking menthols and shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, I ain't gonna be able to sell them motherfuckers, man. I don't want that shit, man. I want the cakes and cookies. And when you go to fucking store, motherfucker, you go get me some kites. I don't want no menthols. I need kites. You know what I mean? So, man, that motherfucker said something to the lieutenant. Man, they moved him out my motherfucking cell in 30 seconds. I had never seen the motherfucker move that fast. I thought he was a fucking undercover FBI agent or some shit, man. I'm not bullshitting. Seriously. That motherfucker, I had never seen the motherfucker, goddamn it, how that type of, you know what I mean? Like, I want out of here. That motherfucker kicked on the door. The fucking lieutenant came to the door. He whispered some shit to the lieutenant. The lieutenant opened the door. I never seen that motherfucker again. I said, man, this motherfucker must was an undercover fucking FBI agent or something, man. How did he do that? You know, seriously. You know what I'm saying? But, man, they didn't give me my shit until they came and told me how to pack your shit. I'm like, pack my shit what? They like, you going to F house. I'm like, I ain't going over there, man. They kicked me up out of that motherfucker, sent me over here. And I never got my property. Them motherfuckers went and came back like an hour later and said, this your shit? I say, you bitch ass motherfuckers then hid my shit a month and a half. And y'all knew what my shit was. They was punishing me for what I did when I got kicked out of F house. You know what I'm saying? These motherfuckers don't play fair in the penitentiary. So, okay, cool. I did like a month and a half in F house. I did a month and a half over here. Now they sending me back over here. They sent me to F house. I got kicked out of F house again. I tell no lies. They sent me to F house. I'm in the cell. He cool motherfucker, whatever. I was on a visit. And in prison, I started becoming very militant. Segregation did that to me. I became very militant. The more I learned, I became very militant. So I didn't play with officers. I ain't play with them and shit unless I fuck with you. So I was on a visit and a female officer, she had got in my business. I was talking to somebody and she had made a comment about what I was talking about. And I was like, you know, mind your fucking business. You know, like I didn't play. I told her, mind your fucking business. And so when I got back to the cell house, the fucking captain I forgot this bitch name. He pulled me in the room and he like, hey man. I'm like, what's happening? He like, man, you disrespect my lady? No, he didn't. When I got back to the cell house, this Latino officer, he come from Chicago. You know, he was one of us too. He used to tell me like, man, I'm one of you. I know what you is. I'm like, yeah. So I had his ass under evaluation. I was trying to see was he real. Cause I was finna make a move with this motherfucking ass, nigga. You talking about you this, he was Latino too, I promise you. But he was saying he was one of us. And that's not uncommon. It's not just a black organization. It started off like that and then it expanded. You'll be surprised how many white, Latinos, other motherfuckers that is, you know, a part of this particular movement, growth and development movement. Anyway, so the guy was taking me in the cell and then he got a call on his walkie-talkie to bring me back downstairs. So when he brought me back downstairs, that's when the captain pulled me and he like, you disrespect my woman? Like, he was in my face. He like, you disrespect my woman? I'm like, who is your woman? You know, I got handcuffs on like this. I'm like, who is your woman? You know, because what the fuck is I'm afraid of? I'm not afraid of shit. So I'm like, who is your woman? And he said her name. And I'm like, I didn't think I disrespected her. She made a comment about a conversation I was having. And he like, you disrespected her. I say, what she say I said? And then he was like, she said you told her to mind her motherfucking business. I say, why does a person tell a person to mind their fucking business? He said, get him to our house. Get him to our house. He was mad as hell. He like, get him to our house. I'm like, okay. So they kicked me out of F house again, sent me to our house. And they didn't write me no ticket or shit for that. I did like my last, that was like, they kicked me up out of there in the summertime. I did like my last 2-3 months in segregation and I got out. You know, I went to segregation with a low haircut. I came up out that motherfucker with braids. Straight up. I came up out that motherfucker with braids, man. So now this 2000 of October, I just did I did 6.5, well, I did 7.5 months that time because I caught an extra 30 days. I caught an extra 30 days and like, I caught an extra 30 days and 2 weeks or some shit. So I did 7.5 months that time. So now I'm out of segregation. I'm back in population. They put me back in D house. That's why I started.